go ahead and start the recording now. And we're going to launch right into the meeting today. So thank you so much for everyone who's joined. We have 229 people who registered for today. We'll see how many actually attend. I'm expecting good high numbers because we have such a wonderful agenda to share with everyone. I also want to encourage everyone, please chat. It's open for everyone. You can chat with each other. You can chat with the panelists. You can ask questions, put in your reactions, submit ideas. Part of today's session is going to include an open forum where we're going to continue to dive into content management. And as you recall from our last meeting, that was something we spent some time on, but I wanted to hear from all of the customers to understand what your philosophy is when it comes to enterprise content management, because for a lot of customers, this is sort of a new concept where there's extra groups or constituencies that are all contributing to the overall content experience. Just by way of quick introduction, since we have added about 90 new members since the last special interest group meeting, I helped start up employee workflows at ServiceNow back in 2013. I actually joined in January 2012. And what I'm really passionate about is trying to eliminate friction across departments and silos within organizations to simplify things so employees can be more engaged and more productive. And I love working with more progressive customers like Rocket Central and all the others who have presented on the special interest group in prior sessions. If you were on our February meeting, this is what we covered. And we had Ann Halverson, who's the VP of Global Communications at Trivia Packaging, share her story. We also talked about how the membership for the special interest group has grown from 30 people 2 years ago to over 650 now, which is tremendous trajectory. We talked about the roadmap. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we spent a lot of time talking about platform and content governance because that was the #1 topic that was requested by members of the special interest group. And so we're going to continue with that a little bit today after we hear from Rocket Central. Hold up your phone if you want, scan that QR code if you were not able to attend the February meeting and you would like to watch that recording. I will also be sending out these slides afterwards, so you'll have enough chance to gain access to that recording if you'd like. As for today's meeting, as I mentioned, I'm really excited about it. We're going to hear from Chris Smith and Ashley Schul from Rocket Central, give them a lot of time to talk about their journey, their success. You can put questions for them in the chat, and after they're done presenting, we'll maybe highlight a couple of those questions for them, and then they'll stick around, of course, and type some responses. Then we'll have an open forum. This is for any customer. You can request to come off mute. We'll take you off mute. You can just verbalize what your strategy has been and how it's been successful and maybe how you arrived there. You know, did you make any adjustments to improve it over time? And we'll allocate up to 20 minutes for that. It all depends on how talkative people want to be. I'm hoping we use all 20 minutes of that time. And then one of the other topics people were really interested in was UX design best practices and our UX product roadmap. And so we have Andrea Junkins and Ryan Courier from ServiceNow to talk about that. So here's your presenters for today's meeting. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Chris and Ashley to talk about their journey and their success.
Perfect. Thanks, Eric. Thanks to the entire team here for having us. We're excited to present, talk a little bit about Rockworld, which is the name of our digital workplace over at Rocket Central. Again, I'm Chris Smith. I'm the Director of Internal Communications at Rocket Central. Our team looks at enterprise-wide employee experience, internal communications, culture, all of those things, which we'll talk a little bit about. And Ashley, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Ashley Schul. I work alongside Chris in improving our team member digital experience from our lens, and I'm a project manager.
Ashley's the person on this team that knows how every component of this site and every role functions. So she's a critical part here to help me present. And she'll be running our slideshow and our demo today. So a little bit about us. Rocket Central may not be as familiar because we're actually the services arm within Rocket Companies, but I thought I'd put up a couple things that show some background about us or places you may have heard of us. Top left photo is Anna Kendrick in our Super Bowl commercial back in 2022. We featured the Barbie commercial for Rocket Mortgage, and that's probably, if any folks on this call know our brand, it's probably Rocket Mortgage because we're big in the advertising and marketing space there. That's our flagship company. Top right photo shows our hometown city of Detroit. Ashley and I are both based in the Detroit area within Michigan. That's where we are headquartered, and a big part of our mission is actually helping rebuild and revitalize the city of Detroit. So that's a big part of our story and our mission internally, even the things we talk about on our portal. This bottom graphic here just gives you a view of the different companies in our umbrella. So our team is communicating to all of these different companies. We're across all of the US and Canada, but mostly focused in the fintech space, different arms that provide fintech services, lending, all kind of built on a fintech platform. You may also be familiar with Truebill. We acquired them last year and we rebranded that company into Rocket Mortgage, which is a really well-known personal finance app. Okay, kind of getting into next. So when we set out to rebuild this digital workplace, Ashley, I'm seeing your browser screen. I don't know if you want up the, there we go. Thank you. Kind of what we set out to solve. And so this was actually a slide we pulled from our executive pitch deck. When we were pitching why we want to move to ServiceNow, what are we setting out to solve? We come from a communications background. That's what our team does. But we knew to achieve what we wanted to, we had to take a much broader view of where are the challenges in our organization, where are the friction points, and we're really focused on efficiency and team member experience, which is important to us, and that's part of the culture of our company. So I won't read through all of these, but these are symptoms and illustrations of the challenges we were having. A lot of fragmentation, a lot of volume in certain things like email distribution lists, things like that. And when we built this, we wanted to do far more than communications. A big part of what we're building even today and what we're working on, which we'll cover more, is our help center and integrating our help center in. And you see about 250,000 tickets in 1 year for our help center. So it's a highly used function, but there was a lot of room for efficiency gains there. One simple thing that we're working on now is just making self-help content available through search on ServiceNow in our portal, which will help us a ton. So a bit when we came to rebuilding our digital workplace, I thought it'd be helpful to look at what was our vision, what were we setting out to do, and the thing we use to describe Rockworld often is we want to be the front door for digital experience at Rocket. We are not going to probably ever house every single internal site, every single thing, but we should connect to it if it's an enterprise-wide resource. And so that was a big part of what our mission was. And it was a simple, tangible way we could communicate that vision where it felt like everyone understood it. And it's actually one of those things that is stuck. And people know that and they say it back to us like, I know we want to do this as part of the kind of front door vision. And so I think that was helpful for us to just simplify it and then have a lot of proof points as well. You'll see there we wanted to combine news, resources. We did launch a leader portal, a space specific to our leaders on launch day. We're scaling that right now. And then I talked a little bit about our help center. So when we opened our RFP, and I know Eric in our prep call, you said some of these were like still vivid and you remembered them going through our RFP process, but we were pretty clear on what we wanted and we knew what we wanted. We felt we had an intranet prior that served us well, but only was serving us in communications. And so that first bullet, we said we want an equal or better communications experience to be successful. But really those next bullets are where we want to scale and grow. And that's where our new opportunities were. We wanted a product and a company that would scale with us in the future. That was a big reason we went with ServiceNow. We didn't want to purchase a product at a point in time. We wanted a company that was known to innovate and scale and grow with the marketplace so we could grow with it. Powerful search. When you see all those stats we put up here about fragmentation and all those things, that tells you why that was so important. And being a company that grew, we've acquired other companies. We're now international. We had all kinds of challenges with targeting information, targeting which benefit should go to which team members, all different audience types. It was almost a daily challenge and frustration for us where people were seeing wrong information. We've only been on ServiceNow since September of this year. we've solved so many of those challenges through simple leveraging of knowledge blocks and things like that. So that's a bit of what we were setting out to do.
So I wanted to kind of, it's a great little slide. I'm not the designer, as you can tell, but I wanted to illustrate that we have really great buy-in internally to support the vision that Chris just reviewed with us. And so I know like we're going to get into kind of content governance later on in this session. And so we just wanted to illustrate all of the partners that we have internally. So we've got an internal ServiceNow engineers that maintain the platform at that level, and they help support us on bigger builds or things like that. Then we've got a UI engineer where for us, packaging is just as important as the contents. And so that UI engineer really helps us and supports us in kind of pushing the look and feel of employee experience through widgets and things like that. And you'll see that in that demo. We were cautioned to stay out of the box, and we really did keep that in mind. There are not a lot of custom widgets created in our portal right now. So it's just a matter of manipulating a lot of that CSS and things like that. And I think we really pushed the boundaries there. We have really great buy-in from our IT partners. They will also become what we call content partners on our platform as well, where they maintain sort of the more technology-focused knowledge articles, maybe a bit more general, maybe how to request your laptop or things like that. We have great buy-in from that group. Then we've got our content partners, and they kind of break out into two different groups. We've got our evergreen resource content partners, and that's about, I want to say 30 folks that work in payroll, compensation, benefits specifically, and they help and support us in providing content about maybe a new plan about auto insurance. And so we look to them to give us that content, and then we look to them to also keep it updated for our team members to get the latest and greatest. Then on the other side, we've got our news content partners, and they are the folks that bring us the latest in their respective areas. So we have a few folks in technology that like to write about, hey, these few people got promoted, congratulate them in the comments, and we use that content lives in KAs as well. And we have about, I think, 70 of those partners on the news side. And I wanted to just kind of get a little more detailed in that, just because I think it illustrates the awesome buy-in that we've had internally on the vision that we've set that wasn't just siloed to benefiting just our team. We kind of took an extra step to say, hey, this benefits everyone in their experience here at Rocket. And then we've got our HR partners that also help support us. They're a bit more mechanical on more of the HR service delivery side, but they still support us in that way. And then we've got our UX team that helps us understand behaviors and things like that of the users. And then Chris and I live on the internal communications team. It's a bit unique from other partners or clients that I've heard on these calls for the last few months. So I just wanted to illustrate that as well. Alrighty. Then we wanted to just be pretty transparent and show you guys our product roadmap. So the ones that are starred are the ones that I just wanted to highlight. But if you have any questions, let us know in the chat. But that leader portal that Chris mentioned earlier was a really big step for us. Leaders are having a lot of noise come at them at our company. Got to complete this, got to do this training, got to make sure my team members do this training, and so on and so forth. And so we're trying to build this sort of portal that we'll look into once we get into the demo, where leaders can just go here to find key dates that they need to fulfill by open enrollment, make sure your team does their open enrollment or things like that. And so we're really, I think, pushing the bounds in that space as well. And we're using microsites for that, just an FYI, if a few people know about that. The second starred item is onboarding of content partners. We want to decentralize our process for updating KAs and content. Again, like you saw, we have such excellent buy-in from all those folks. why not just empower them to be the ones that update the KAs when there's an update on insurance or deductibles or things like that. It takes the onus off of our team, and we help empower those folks to do that. Then we've got ITSM launching in our company right now on ServiceNow. And so there's a lot of, back to that front door experience, there's a lot of self-serve content that lives in every which other platform, SharePoint, WordPress site, whatever. And we're looking to bring that all over onto Rockworld so that we can still reinforce that one front door strategy for team members, and they can find content related to their technology needs. And then the last one, the fourth one, it's subscriptions and favoriting. So favoriting was already a functionality that ServiceNow provided. We love it. Team members love it. On our side, they're able to favorite things like their, any content essentially on our intranet. But I think subscriptions is where we get a little more unique as well. So on the news side of the house, the internal communication side of the house, not the HR side, again, I had mentioned that we have a lot of content partners that like to write about what's happening in their areas or about business or just fun cultural stuff that's happening. And so we wanted to be able to provide our team members the ability to subscribe to specific categories of content. So I want all content about events that are happening, programming that's happening at our Detroit office or whatever. And so we were able to build out this sort of subscription functionality where we add folks into groups, a workflow triggers after they've clicked subscribe, and then they receive email notifications every time a new KA with that specific category is published, and then they receive that notification to go read it. So that's helped to better facilitate engagement and kind of more of that push motion to get team members back to the intranet. Cool. After this is the demo, so I didn't know if there were any questions.
There's actually a number of questions. Chris has been diligently typing responses to those.
Great job.
Yes. I will say just a quick reminder to everyone, if you have a question and you're going to put it in the chat, you may want to consider selecting everyone rather than hosts and panelists so that everyone can see your question as well as the response, unless you specifically want it to be sort of a private conversation just with the hosts and panelists. That's perfectly fine.
And maybe one question to pull out of chat that did just come to us that may be relevant for the group. There was a question about success metrics and how we measure success. And so I thought I'll just cover that really quickly. We do have a site survey built into the footer of our site that's persistent throughout. We actually get a lot of participation in that. We set out to maintain our overall site satisfaction rating, which hovers right around 4 out of 5. We were successful in maintaining that, even launched with a lot of change involved in the site. We've maintained that rating since launch, which we're really proud of. Then we do also look at specific metrics around site performance, how well are our communications performing, things like that. So Ashley's been really helpful in getting us diving into ServiceNow dashboards, and we're really increasing our visibility around data right now. And then we set out completely different metrics for things like our help center. One thing we're looking at is once we get self-serve content out there, how many of our search queries are leading to someone going to that article and actually finding what they need. Ashley, I'm blanking on the name of that term.
Self-solve rate.
Yes, self-solve rate, really important to us. And then we want to look at call center volume. We showed that stat earlier in this slide where we had 750,000 tickets created. If we can reduce the number of tickets and improve satisfaction with the help center, those are real business metrics we're looking to help impact too.
Cool.
Okay, Ashley, you're going to take us through a demo?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so this is our lovely homepage. This is where you land. If you want to get going through our intranet, again, finding things about your insurance, perks, verification of employment. Then we've got some development stuff here, hiring, performance. Roadmap is our orientation team, sorry. Then we've got that leader portal that I mentioned, and we'll look into it in a second. help center, and then that news aspect, that communications aspect that was discussed versus the resources, which you see on the left. So as you're looking, this widget at the very front with the beautiful image is that, let's see, content experience. That content experience widget with just some CSS and a little bit of finagling, but we really didn't affect any of the I'm going to blank on the word, but like kind of more of the back end. We didn't manipulate the actual widget, more of just how it looks when it's presented. We created these pinned items on the right as well. But this, pinned on the right. And then as we get lower, we kind of have a news feed style of articles that have been posted that may not be in this larger hero section or pin section, and they start trickling down here for, team members to go and explore. This newsfeed widget is a custom one, and I know Eric and Corey and Pooja are kind of looking into the news side of ServiceNow and how to facilitate that. And I believe there's a feed there too. So wanted to just kind of like show that that's the reason we went to ServiceNow, is because they're scaling and they grow fast with us as we're growing too. Cool. And then your quick links, simple. Chris, anything else to add?
No, I don't think so. There was one good question on how much of this content is targeted. So I would say somewhat made up number, probably 90 to 95% of this content today is available to everyone. Yeah. Most of what we're doing is targeting within the knowledge article through knowledge blocks. And so one thing we've even started to do, we've really been focusing on communication to leaders. Had a large organization of 19,000 team members. We have a lot of leaders. And so we're even putting leader-focused knowledge blocks within content, especially content around change management and things like that, with what leaders need to know, or maybe additional context for leaders and things like that. So we do want to grow in this space where more of the overall content is targeted, but this has been a way for us to kind of scale as we go through things. Cool. And then we thought we'd share with you guys kind of one piece of content we've worked on. We were kind of racking our brains. I know there's other communicators on this call. One challenge we're all facing right now is the number of distractions, and it's hard to keep attention spans. And so we started producing a monthly pre-recorded broadcast. This was the first episode of it. We just launched it this quarter. We'll show you guys maybe the first minute or so just to show some content. But we almost kind of built it, if you're familiar with like ESPN's Pardon the Interruption, like it's very ticker focused. You watch the countdown in time, it moves really quickly. The other thing we wanted this to be was kind of grassroots. It felt like it was not top-down leadership communications. This was more like from the people for the people. So we picked hosts within our business area and kind of give this feel like they're curating content for the company. So yeah, we'll show the first minute of this, and then we can catch up on questions and any other things you guys want to look into. I don't think we're getting sound through, Ashley.
I was wondering.
Ashley, one thing you can do is, okay, when you share in Zoom, when you first click that button at the bottom, there's a little checkbox that says share audio or something like that, share sound. Mm-hmm. So it's up to you. You may want to reshare your screen or go to advanced sharing options if you want to make sure that box is checked.
Let's do that. All right. Share sound, perfect. All right, I'm gonna mute. Give me a thumbs up when you hear the sound so I don't panic.
Hi everyone, I'm Mo.
And I'm MJ.
Welcome to The Countdown, our new monthly show for team members that's the best way to stay up to date with all things Rocket in 5 minutes or less, we hope.
We hope. It's really great because we actually have short names, so I think they picked us for a reason.
Yeah, that's absolutely why they picked us.
That's right. So today we are talking about headlines, rock world news, internal events, and isms and action winners. In the news, this is things you may have missed. Rocket Company scored 4.5 stars out of 5 on America's greatest workplaces for diversity in Newsweek. So team members here at Rocket ranked us with high marks on company culture, working environment, and more in recent surveys. So that's very, very, very exciting. And also, our local Detroit CBS station featured Rocket Central's own Jessica Harris from the home she was able to purchase with a Rocket Homes grant.
Love that. It's so hard sometimes to save up money for the down payment on your first home, and the Rocket Home Grant allows qualifying team members who are first-time home buyers up to $10,000 towards a down payment.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That would just show a little preview. We've gotten incredibly good feedback on that show too. Really, really good stuff. It's kind of an experiment we thought we'd try out, but the feedback's been great on it. I think we launched it, had right around 100 responses to a survey. 96% of team members said this was a great medium to stay up to date with company information on. So really, really good metrics on launch on this too. Okay, Eric, how are we doing on time? I don't know if we want to catch up on some questions in chat, let the agenda keep moving, or we want to talk through anything else.
We still have about 7 to 10 more minutes and we'll be totally fine. So I'm
Okay.
going to interject a couple of questions for you, and then we have to go through the chat as well. But, you know, Ashley, somebody asked about measuring the success metrics. And while we have good analytical data, which is wonderful, you know, there was also some reactions that you shared with me when you went live with this. You want to talk about the reaction of your C-suite or any other employees that came up to you after you rolled out Rockworld?
Yeah, I would love to. So Eric and I were on a call probably with a few others. And Chris was presenting with our Chief Communications Officer, Aaron Emerson, in a C-suite meeting, just like right in front of me in the office. Doors were closed though. And, you know, I knew they were already presenting, and Eric and I were just talking, and I visibly react to things. I can't hold it in when I'm on camera. And I heard just immense clapping in the office behind closed doors. And I think Eric asked me like what was going on, or someone had asked me. And I was like, wow, like my director and my other leader just got like pretty much a standing ovation, right, Chris? Of not standing, but a lot of claps and enthusiasm about launching, you know, this intranet that has all these amazing capabilities to improve that team member digital experience here at Rocket.
Yeah, and I think you know, as we've talked to the ServiceNow team, it's maybe a little bit different, or it's a trend that's increasing, but the communications team really drove a lot of this enterprise vision. So a big part of this was having partnerships, buy-in, being able to pitch a vision and having it make sense across a large, complex organization. But when you talk about a round of applause, like that's what generated that. Was we were solving real business challenges, and we didn't just think about it from a communications lens. We were thinking about it holistically through really powerful partnerships across technology, our HR teams, even our facilities management teams. And so that's been a big part of what we've set out to do from the get-go.
That's awesome. And not to embarrass Ashley too much, but I also saw that she was recognized and received some awards for her work on this Rockworld project. So, and you're not the first one. We've had other presenters on the special interest group that, you know, received rewards, recognition, even promotions for their contributions to solving the digital confusion that many organizations face by leveraging ServiceNow to do exactly what you've done.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well earned and deserved. There are a lot of chats. Chris, do you want to pick out a few that you want to have verbalize a response to, and then save some others to maybe type out a response after we shift gears?
Sure. Ashley, this may be a good one for you, and I can help too, but there was a question on our timeline to releasing the portal, and I can give maybe quick context on that. This one for us was challenging because we were approaching really, really close on our prior vendor, the end date of our contract. And so Ashley was the one who project managed this whole thing, moved us through timeline. We did partner with CDW on implementation. They helped us through that, but Ashley, you can probably talk through those phases a little bit for the group.
Yeah. So it was a 13-week implementation of Employee Center. We had already had, I think, the leave of absence space built out, which was more HR service delivery, if I remember right, but Employee Center was brand new to us at this company. And so it was a 13-week implementation, worked very closely with CDW, an implementation partner that we have worked with in the past many times. And they kind of understood what we were set out to do. And those phases were very much, it's been a while, probably should be burned in my brain, but we had broken it out into maybe 5 phases within that 13-week, very much like the create, the plan phase, creating stories in that phase. And then pretty much the build phase, where our team, our UI engineer and our ServiceNow internal engineers had to partner with CDW with their ServiceNow engineers to come together to bring this experience that you're seeing here today. I will say we've iterated a lot since September. So what you're seeing, Leader Portal wasn't live in this capacity at that time. But that homepage experience definitely is what we launched in day 1. So that's pretty much how it went.
Yeah, and just one note on a question just came in kind of on like volume of content. We did merge our HR site, which had all like benefits info, things like that, with our intranet at the time. We did only go back on our news content 1 year. So it was a bit of manual kind of moving over of that content. Ashley, I don't know if you remember number of resources we migrated over. We did have a count at a point.
I believe 300 feels right of unique content articles.
Yep, I think so. And then there was one question on our help center catalogs, which I thought maybe you could just demo what we have for HRSD right now, and I can give some context while we walk over. So we recently launched HR Service Delivery and that experience where you can actually request help through the platform. We are working on the implementation of ITSM, which will allow that for our technology help desk. We knew volume and complexity was much higher with technology, so we started with HR help. Feedback on that so far has been great. And so a lot of what we're working on, which I had mentioned, was moving over our technology help desk content so that can be generated in search so team members can self-help through some of those things, kind of decentralize some of that content, but then also have that experience. I don't know how good, Ashley, it'll be if you like went into requests for HR. I don't know if you have any recent ones that'll show, but I know we did kind of think about a little bit of the packaging on those things as well. So it may be helpful to show the group that.
Yep. So again, staying out of the box, so here's our categories of catalogs. So within each of these categories, there are catalogs that you can submit requests about. Pay and benefits. Obviously, if you have a question about your benefits, you got a payroll request or our stock options. And again, we've kind of, as you can tell, it's not out, it doesn't look out of the box, but it still technically is. Then you get into benefits request. We are working on revamping the look and feel of catalogs, but right now it works, and probably with ITSM coming in, we'll probably do that before. And this is EC Pro. I just saw that come in.
Thank you. There was also a question about what technologies you were using for your intranet experience before this.
We were on Igloo before this. We were with them for 4 or 5 years coming into this move. And then again, we did do an RFP process. We evaluated a whole bunch of vendors. Unily was up there, Social Chorus, several others. I think the differentiator and really how we described this was, I'll come back to that equal or better news experience. I think we found a lot of the other intranet providers for us were thinking a little bit narrow on intranet, and they were trying to do that really well. And we said, we felt we had a capable team, a developed strategy. If we could take and deliver an equal or better news experience, we knew ServiceNow was much more fit to help us with our other objectives. truly creating a digital workplace. And we felt we'd be much more successful in other lanes like this help center we're showing here if we took that leap. And I think we're really, really happy we did.
Yes, we are too. We are too. There was a question about tours. One, Ashley, they were wondering if you could show them tours. There was another question where somebody said they heard a rumor that tours were being depreciated. I reached out separately when I saw that question to Sancho Pinto, who's the VP of Product Management for Employee Experience. And he said he's not aware. He's never heard that tours are being depreciated. I would also be very surprised. So I think that's maybe a case where somebody passed along some inaccurate information.
Yeah, tours are great. We use it. It's interesting that we use it for on the communication side. I know it's probably more HR, but when we launched Help Center, it came from a leader. We had one of our leaders communicate it out to our entire enterprise, and I believe they were, they're talking about the vision, the importance of Help Center, how this is going to impact the team members, and then said, hey, like take this tour, and it gives you that more functionality walkthrough rather than more of the comms side. So it was a good merriment of our communications and just walking folks through how to use this resource now that it lives in our intranet Rockworld. And I will definitely catch up on questions as we get into the next.
Yeah, Zach, we'll catch up in chat. Maybe last
sure.
one I thought I'd touch on because this will be easier to talk through than chat. But Brad asked about the dynamic of resources, number of developers, teams. Ours is interesting. So we do have within the communications group, the team that Ashley and I are on, we do have a graphic designer who's really a UX designer at this point. She's doing a lot of our designs on the site. So day to day, we have that within our team, which is really important. We do have a front end UI developer as well. So Ashley leads our team in a bit of an agile methodology, even though we're on a comms group. We have folks who are focused on this product. They run in 2-week sprints. So to develop resources, to do front end UX design and then front end development. Then we have our technology group, which is separate from our team, and they are the specialized kind of ServiceNow engineering groups. So we have a whole separate prioritization queue and things like that with them. So we'll usually hit the point where if it's kind of fairly simple design and configuration, we will do a lot of that work within our team. We're running in 2-week sprints on that. Then we have things that need to go into the development queue with our specialized engineers. I think that's a team of about 4 or 5 engineers focused on ServiceNow for us. But they are also helping our other implementations. So I mentioned HR service delivery, ITSM, they do serve them as well. But a lot of the work is coming from our team.
Awesome. All right. Chris, one final question, because this is a good segue into the next part of our meeting today. And that part of the meeting has to do with content governance strategies. So these are strategies that customers may put in place to understand, which groups of content managers have the ability to publish which types of content to which pages, to which audiences, what type of review cadence may be put in place to not only review it, but to also understand if it should be retired at some point versus live longer. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but I thought maybe you could talk for a minute about the content governance strategy you have in place at Rocket Central. And then what I'm going to ask everybody to do is if you have something to share from your organization, please raise your hand. We'll take you off of mute and you can share that with the rest of the members of this special interest group as well.
Yeah, so for us, this will be really interesting because we've been talking a lot about content governance and know we want to scale that to leverage the power of this platform. A lot of what we've done up to today was taking our existing process and moving it over just to control the amount of change and things we were focused on launching a new platform. So we have like 140 different content contributors. We have that kind of network and that community built, but a lot of what they were doing was sending us over Word documents for us to edit. We'll approve it. We'll tell them they're good to publish things or changes. And so we want to move that process over to be more workflow based, leveraging the platform. And Ashley and I have been talking a lot about that in the last 2 to 3 weeks. So excited for this and excited to learn from anyone else who's already doing that.
Yeah, I think workflows are going to be our next step. And like right now, how we are, just to get a little more nitty gritty, right now, how we're utilizing it is, we've onboarded our content partners on the resource side. So everyone who maintains the insurance information and things like that. We are recently and in progress of onboarding them, and essentially we are doing baby steps. And the first step is, hey, you can only update copy within this knowledge article that your team owns. And because that knowledge article was initially created by someone, either myself or someone on my team, Tara, as well, who maintains the resource space, you get alerts every time someone republishes the article within the intranet. And so that's her way of going, okay, Sally went and updated car insurance. Let me go make sure it looks okay for right now. And then we're going to mature into that more of approval workflow style, where it gets sent to us after someone is, so I don't know if it's necessarily publishing it, but it would transfer to us within our approvals within the intranet. And so I can go to my tasks, click that knowledge article to go check out and make sure it looks good, and then send it back to them to publish. So that's like our ideal state. We've got our team is still maturing in the workflow space. As you can see, we were kind of busy with the other stuff. And so it's going to be a really big priority for us, because it's going to help our sort of smaller team be able to reach further and do bigger, higher impact items while still making sure the mechanics are still running in the background.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, this is our open forum portion of the meeting today. So if anyone would like to talk about your content management strategy, please raise your hand or use the ask to come off mute feature. And hopefully that will put you up at the top of the attendees list in the participants window. And we'll be able to take you off of mute so that you can share your knowledge with everyone. Is anyone brave enough to voice your content governance strategy? Oh, all right. We've got Kristen Wick. So let me go ahead and allow you to talk. Hi, Kristen.
Hi there. I'm sorry. I have a little bit of a cold, so I might sound a little raspy. I'm Kristen White with Gap Inc. We were also a company that launched the Employee Center Pro with HR first and looking to add in IT, asset protection, risk management, etc. We currently use a content governance structure for with leveraging ownership groups and the workflow approval. And I guess I have a question for this greater group too, is around the agent resolutions and agent workspace, and whether people are also managing content and process for tickets. And not just employee facing, because there's obviously we're enabling self-service the best we can, but then agent resolution is a huge driver of work as well.
Sure. If there's anyone who would like to come off mute or type a response to Kristen's question, that's great. I can tell you that back in the day, before Agent Workspace, agents always had the ability to check a little box that was typically hidden by default on the form, but it would basically create a draft knowledge article from the comments that they were using to resolve the case. And I don't know if that also made it into Agent Workspace when we came out with that a couple of years ago, but it was a very useful feature, right? Because they could either basically be saying, hey, I have a new answer to an old question because our policies have changed, or, hey, I get this question all the time. We should have a knowledge article to allow people to find the answer on their own.
Thank you. I'll have to look into that one as well.
I believe it was Well, it was called something like create article from case or something along those lines. And we
And
do
then, and then is anyone activating or using content publishing, that out of the box catalog item?
Are you saying where people can actually request content from the communications team or content management
Correct.
team?
Yeah. That's something we're looking to activate.
By the way-
We, oh, sorry.
I was going to say, Athena answered your question, by the way, Kristen, in the chat.
Oh, amazing.
She said it's available and we use it. Go ahead, Ashley.
We're trying to dive more into the content publishing space too, with campaigns and things like that. That big header hero image you saw was where we target content through content publishing there. Yeah, we would love to get into that sort of workflow request scenario, but it's just a lot to scale too. But it's definitely in the plans.
Awesome. Thank you.
And Kristen, that feature to request content was born of an idea I submitted to our communications team, because over the years, talking to a lot of communications professionals, I found that a lot of the requests they get were coming in through email. You know,
Yes.
say things like, my biggest customer is human resources. They send me emails all the time saying, can you publish this? Can you publish that? And then they're tracking their work through spreadsheets. So I thought, wow, this sounds like the problems that ServiceNow was fixing for HR and for IT a decade ago. So by bringing that to bear, now you can have, you know, content management dashboards, you know, what's going live this week, what's retiring this week, what's overdue for an approval, and all kinds of other metrics that can provide a lot of insights into the quality and operations of content management.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because we have recurring campaigns around ESPP, like employee stock purchase plan, open enrollment, which does change, end of year activities around W-2s that my team has to track manually. And then some teams have dedicated comms partners, whereas other teams don't. And so our knowledge and employee center team ends up managing a lot of the content for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you mentioned you're from Gap Inc.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Are you also replacing your intranet at this point in time with ServiceNow?
TBD.
Okay.
TBD. It is a big undertaking because I was just looking into Rockworld. I don't know if you guys have stores, but we have 120,000 employees, and a lot is in our store locations, and they have a separate intranet for task-oriented activities, and it would take some more intentional planning. I'm curious if anyone else is thinking through wage and hour laws of engaging with content when they're not on the clock for that population. So we have to be careful about how we direct people to certain places and at what time.
Got it. Okay. Going back, thank you, Kristen, for being the first one to be brave enough to come off mute. Is there anyone else who'd like to share your content governance strategy with the rest of the group? These are all great ideas, and every organization is different. So hearing about the different possibilities can help a lot of people get through this a lot more easily. If you see your name up in the participants list, all you have to do is hover over it with your mouse and click allow and click request to talk or request to come off mute, something like that. Okay, good. We've got Brad. So Brad, you should be able to speak now.
Morning, everyone. Brad Cobold, I'm from Guaranteed Rate. So thanks, The Rocket, your presentation was fantastic. We're just starting off in our intranet journey, so we don't have a content strategy yet, particularly for ServiceNow, but our intent is to allow, we have a lot of content creators already for our intranet group. We have a major department called, it's the training department, but they keep the entire all of our companies apprised of process or policy changes, latest products when we're in the news. And then we have other content creators like HR, our learning and management team, and so very similar across multiple orgs. Our plan is basically to allow them to manage their own content. So having groups defined where they can even manage those groups and add approvers in that particular workflow means that it's up to them to manage their content and produce it. At this moment, we also have people using Igloo and SharePoint and separately. And so we're not going to migrate those immediately into our first MVP. So we're going to have to display that content from those respective systems on the homepage. So that's considered in our MVP to get something out with using ServiceNow first. But to allow these groups who are going to be slow to adopt it to continue to use the platforms that they like and use today, so we can keep all of that content together and aggregated on the homepage. So again, we haven't implemented that, so we can't tell you how well that works, but we feel that's going to be the best thing for all of our partners and ourselves.
Thank you for sharing that, Brad. I'm looking forward to when you are able to go live and we can see your MVP and maybe give you a slot on this call to share it with everyone else as well.
One day. I look forward to it.
What's your timeline? Do you have one?
No, because we're still in the early phases of selecting a vendor to work with. And so we've met with several partners and lots of fantastic demos and portfolios, those from quite a few. So it's going to be hard to pick.
That's great. Just a little bit of foreshadowing. After our next session on UX design best practices and roadmap, I've got some recommendations for people if you're attending Knowledge 23 on which partners to meet with and which sessions to go see. So great. Okay, we've got time for one more person. If someone else would like to come off of mute and share your thoughts, your ideas, your vision, your hopes, your dreams with the rest of the group, we can then we'll move on to the next one after that. Okay. Well, I think we've exhausted the volunteers. So with that, let me turn it over to Andrea and Ryan for the next portion of today's meeting.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. I am Andrea Jenkins. I'm going to just share my screen here real quickly with you and get this on presenter mode. Thank you to the Rocket team for presenting how they are doing things. I'm actually going to reference them a little bit. So again, I'm Andrea Jenkins. I am a senior UX design strategist here at ServiceNow. I've been with the company for about 4 years. I work as part of an internal and specialized team here at ServiceNow called the Workflow Design Studio. What is that? We are a team that works directly with customers like you to help them solve their complex business challenges because, hey, everybody's got them these days. We use an approach called human-centered design. Let me get to my next slide. What is human-centered design? Quite simply, it's just taking a user-centered approach to your problem solving around your portal and intranet. So it just is involving the human perspective in all steps of your problem solving to ensure that what you're presenting out to your employees, your business partners, your customers is being designed with them in mind. What we're trying to do here is make things easier for your users. So by using this method, what happens? Well, I can tell you, you increase your users' happiness. Happiness online in many ways imitates our happiness offline. So what that is about is just really forming feelings of freedom and trust. People want control and they want to know that they can depend on your resource, your portal, to get the information that they need. So one thing that we always say when we're working is sure, pretty is nice. Everybody wants their portal to look really nice, pretty, but a great experience is actually even nicer. So here are some principles that we have discovered by working with customers that help really earn that freedom and trust that I'm talking about. The first one is engagement. Be thoughtful with your content. You need to keep your employees interested. Create a sense of belonging. With our remote and hybrid world that we're working in right now, that has gotten even harder. I love the example that Rocket just showed of that Rocket World video. That's amazing. That is completely engaging your users, your employees, and creating a really fun way to deliver information. I think that's just a super 5-star example. So thanks for that, Rocket. Second, personalize your information. I know there were some questions about that in the chat. So really identify and understand who your users are that are coming to the portal. You can create user profiles so that specific information can be served directly to them that's useful just to them. Dig into your metadata of how people are using your site so that you can start to build more of a white glove experience. Let's see. Third, make it easy to get work done, right? We're all time constrained. We want to get things done really, really quickly. So simplify the process of what your services are, what the support is, and how they get information. Now that you've moved to a portal where everything is all in one place, make sure you're giving people what they need. We also really recommend promoting self-service, obviously, so you have less of a human touch and the user can take control and get things done on their own. Again, that's building into that freedom. We also talk about less is more. So white space can be a good thing. It's easy to fully fill these portals with all the modules that we offer, but really think about if that's going to be useful to your user. We suggest kind of popping the content that you feel is most important and making sure you take into account hierarchy, visual hierarchy. You know, where is the eye going to go first? Where is the eye going to go second? What's the most important information? That should be higher. The less important information should be lower. On our portal internally, you know, things like company announcements are very high on the page. Company holidays you have to scroll down to get to those. So that's just a good example. Another thing we really recommend is think about non-work experiences outside of work. What are the apps and services that you use day to day? For me personally, Amazon, couldn't live without it. Love it, hate it, right? But they have got it figured out. Everything. Apple, also a well-known, excellent experience. Other companies like Airbnb and Uber, they've really figured out how to cater to their users and serve the right information. All of these companies provide services that are easy to use. We find that 3 clicks or less for your user to get to their information or to solve their problem is a really good baseline to shoot for. So we always talk about try to apply these outside of work experiences to the work experience. And again, Rocket kind of did that with that video, making a very YouTube, Instagram worthy, TikTok-y kind of thing, right? So work and life are becoming a bit more seamless. And then last but not least, have depth. A deep knowledge base that's thorough, that gives you strong search out of that portal, again, is going to really build that trust with your user when they go to search and they can actually find what they're looking for, or maybe they don't know how to do something and there's a knowledge article that says, here are the steps to get this process done. Super important. Again, referring to Google, right? What can't you get on Google? Try to emulate that with your own portal. And again, the search is also giving you more data to innovate with. What are people looking for? What can't they find? Well, produce something for them so that there is something there that they can find. Okay. All right. So in closing, here's what we recommend to kind of get to all of those principles. Do the research and use an agile approach. So as far as research, like who are your users, right? Are they country-based? Are they regional? Could you cater content by state, by department, or by role? All of these are options. You just have to figure out which ones are right for you. Secondly, dive into the daily routines of your employees through interviews and workshops. That's what we do at the Workflow Design Studio. We workshop to really get to the root of what people need. And along that line, ask your employees questions. What's going to excite them? what's going to bring them to the portal beyond just the information. And through that, we say identify and prioritize the moments that matter for those individual users. And again, then you hierarchy, place them on the portal where they're necessary and where they're going to give you the most bang for the buck for that user. And then lastly, be iterative with your change and validate with your users along the way. Again, just like we heard from Rocket, they've implemented a 2-week sprint to refresh their content to their portal. That's amazing. And that also is showing your users that the portal is a living and breathing thing, not something that was just built and is sitting there static. And again, that rolls back into the trust that you want to establish with your users. And that's all I have for principles for good UX. And again, thank you very much for the time, and I'll be open to questions, I guess, at the end, maybe, Eric.
Sorry, now I'm on mute. Yes, absolutely. Take some
All
questions
right, I'll stop
afterwards.
sharing and hand the baton to Ryan.
Sure.
Thank you. Let me share my screen, get everything set up. Presenter mode. Everybody can see my screen. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Courier. I'm the Principal UX Lead for Employee Experience. That covers Employee Center Pro, now mobile, third-party integrations, and content experiences, employee communications. I've been with ServiceNow for about 7 years now, so have worn many hats, and I lead the employee experience, as I said. Today, I'm going to take you through our UX updates, our roadmap for UX updates and VX refresh, and kind of touch upon a few details around those, and hopefully kind of give you a good glimpse into what we're doing. All right, first and foremost, it's a safe harbor notice for forward-looking statements. Nothing that you'll see is guaranteed or promised, and just subject to change. All right, so moving forward. All right, the UX updates and refresh. So why are we updating the homepage? I just want to start off with giving that kind of a base understanding of what we're doing and why we're kind of taking this next step onto Employee Center and Employee Center Pro homepage. One reason why is because we have growing capabilities and content across business units. HR is delivering a lot more content, workplace service delivery. Even our team, Unified Employee Experience, is creating foundational features like news, etc. So since we launched, there's a lot more product, a lot more capabilities being built into the entire Employee Center. So we're taking a look at how the homepage can now facilitate that content, from out-of-box layout to the widgets that we're going to place on the out-of-box, and also the information architecture. Additionally, we're looking to update the visual design enhancements based on our customers have been great in giving us feedback of what they've liked about the out-of-box homepage VX, but also things that they would like to see: more branding opportunities, more visual nuances that can be done. And also, this is a natural progression after we've launched Employee Center to look at and push it further, right? Make another update onto the visual design aspect. Now I'll take you through a few of the areas where we're exploring opportunities to bring more brand and visual rich surface areas. As you see on the homepage, we're looking to add more employee communication widgets throughout the homepage. So what that does is breaks up the content, provides various levels of engagement with the employee. Currently, the out-of-box has the banner widget, the content experience widget at the very top, but not any out-of-box down below. And what we're looking to do is allow that to engage the employee with different types of communications throughout the page, and also alleviates overcrowding the top banner as you expand from HR to IT and other communication groups. Moving forward, also just wanted to highlight that this also gives you the ability to realize your brand, right? As you can see on the bottom two, providing visuals that kind of enhance that brand for your employee portal. So it really has that look and feel of your company. I'm having some click problems here. Okay, so also we're introducing visual variety through different background and container treatments. And as you'll see, I'll zoom in on another area. It's kind of hard to see on this on Zoom. Hopefully you guys can see it. We're introducing a page background image, right? Just showcasing things that you can take advantage of as well for the homepage. If your brand would be enhanced by having some type of texture or some type of background image, you can feel free to add that and utilize that capability. Additionally, we're also looking to explore, you know, bringing popular topics with background colors, right? Again, trying to showcase how you can bring that brand forward on the homepage. Additionally, we're looking to explore ways to provide different visualizations for widgets. Traditionally today, we have widgets on the right-hand side that have a background container, a white background. And on the left-hand side, you'll see it's probably a little bit hard to see on this mock-up, but this recommended for you widget doesn't have that container anymore. Really, it just provides kind of a more breathing room, a little bit more layers of visual hierarchy. And you'll see on the left-hand side, there's all of these don't have backgrounds to their widgets, while the ones on the right do. It's just kind of giving that depth to the homepage. Additionally, as we're making these updates visually, we're also looking at how we can enhance, you know, the widgets themselves. So perfect example is content experience widget here. It was pretty close to Rocket's homepage that we saw that they created separately. But this is a third visualization to the content experience widget today. Today, the out of box, you can actually configure it to be a single carousel, one communication at a time, or a list on the left-hand side where the user can see the next communications, be able to click and kind of engage those independently. This is a third one where we display all the or a few communications all at once, and working towards that to be another option for that widget. We're also looking to enhance the My Active Items widget, not only visually, but also looking at it from a user experience standpoint, reviewing the hierarchy, etc. This is just one example. We're in the middle of doing this work, so I also see all the iterations we're doing. So there's definitely some areas that we're exploring on this and pushing it, but this is one example to showcase. And also things like upcoming events. This isn't a comprehensive list, but just really highlighting the areas that we're focusing on and trying to bring a lot more visual details to these widgets. So an example here is upcoming events, where we're looking to bring the ability to have, you know, visually bring it up, uplift it. Also looking to bring in some user experience capabilities like the calendar and things like that there. And now moving forward to a big capability that we're bringing to out of the box is company news. And that was mentioned earlier in this call. We are definitely moving to provide the company news, and you'll see on the left-hand side is a company news center, right? So that's where all of the news is accessible by the employee, and obviously news articles come with it for the detail page, along with the related widgets on the side, and then also the news feed, which is down on the bottom there. That'll be a widget that will be on the homepage, along with other locations like topic pages and related article aspects. And with that, that covers everything that I wanted to share today of our roadmap. And I'll hand it over to Eric.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I'm really excited about that. And I thank our product teams for always innovating and trying to improve everything for customers. Ryan, there's a chat question for you. What is the timeline of these changes in the roadmap?
Yeah, that's always the first question. I would say, you know, it depends on what aspect you're looking at. From what I showcased, I would say the news is probably the more that will be coming in. It's planned for the August story release. That's going to be the first version of it, right? What I showcase is kind of like the full on like ideal state. There's a process there. And then the visual design refresh, it's planned at, I believe, for November or beyond, probably beyond, probably February next year release. That will kind of completely revamp that visual design aspect of it. And obviously the other widgets will come along with those timelines too. So Q1 next year to the end of this quarter.
Okay.
Yep.
There's a question too from Jan about will you enhance the editorial management systems? Do you want to take that, Ryan, or would you like me to?
You can if you like.
Okay. So, yeah, I assume you're talking about things like content publishing, content experiences, the rich content builder, and absolutely. So Corey Lehman, who's our internal product manager for employee communications, is continuously improving those experiences. I think they've come very, very far in the last several years. And some of the things that he's working on putting in place are versioning, also enhancements with the image library. So you can have multiple versions of the same image that you want to optimize for, say, a browser experience versus a mobile experience to simplify that. We're looking at coming out with more, bespoke dashboards for content operations so that customers don't have to create that themselves, even though it's relatively simple to do that. They're looking at how different content managers find the content that they need to manage. So perhaps early next year, we will have some way within the portal interface, such as a little edit button or a pencil where a content manager can say, hey, I need to change the announcement on the dynamic topic page that I own or the microsite I own, and they can click it there and make the changes that they want to, as opposed to going into the backend interface into the content publishing editor to do so. Is there anything else that you would add to that, Ryan?
You may have mentioned it, but the rich content editor, did you mention that as well? Yeah. I think that was at the end of it.
Yeah. Oh, that one thing I didn't mention about that, though, the rich content editor was released in November last year. And I believe in August this year, we're planning to release some templates for it, because it can be daunting when you have a completely white canvas in front of you and you can do anything. Powerful, but daunting. Having some templates will not only help people create their microsites more easily, but also provide a lot of consistency in the layouts of those microsites for the employees who are navigating through them. Okay. I am going to shift to, I'm reading a question here too. I'm seeing how I can segue to answering the question and shift into the next segment here. But if anyone would like to respond, Ashley did respond to the question. Great. Okay, so we're going to wrap things up. Let me share my screen very quickly. And I have some recommendations for people. I have recommendations for people who are going to Knowledge and recommendations for people who are not able to join us at Knowledge. The Knowledge Conference, of course, is our biggest global event, and it's in Las Vegas coming up in about 2 weeks. So if you are fortunate enough to go to Knowledge, here are some recommendations, and I will be sending out these slides today. One, on the floor, there will be an employee workflows booth, and you could go up to any of the solution consultants there and ask about modern intranet. There are also a number of partners that excel in this area. And I'm not trying to promote one partner over any other. There's a lot of other partners who have delivered modern intranets on the ServiceNow platform for their customers and done a great job. There are customers who have taken a do-it-yourself approach and are very happy with the results. These 5 partners have mature offerings around delivering a modern intranet on the ServiceNow platform. So if you're looking for a partner where you say, hey, they've done this before, they have specific offerings, they have templates. There was a question about how flexible is the landing page on the ServiceNow portal. A few of these offer templates. So you could go through a specific human-centric design workshop effort and come up with something wholly unique. Great. Or you might say, hey, we don't want to go through all that, but boy, template number 3 looks awesome. We're just going to go with that. You can eliminate several, some weeks of time doing your designs with those. I will be there. You can ask your account executive to book time with me directly if you'd like. I'm happy to meet with you in a private or semi-private setting. I'll also be around the employee workflows booth quite a bit. Rich Dean presented on one of our first special interest group calls. He was the mastermind behind the My Disney Today portal effort. If you may recall, they consolidated 12 different intranet sites into My Disney Today. He's there. He's actually just recently joined ServiceNow. And you can also book time with him through your account team if you'd like to hear some of the things that he went through with his project at Walt Disney. There are a number of customers who are talking on this topic or very similar topics. And so I'm going to show you the next slide here. It's got all the session numbers, and you could sign up specifically to see those sessions or some of the panel sessions. I think these, even if it's not truly specifically around the intranet, I think the concepts that are going to be discussed in these sessions are going to lend themselves very well to this. And you can see some of the other additional sessions here, as well as there's a lab, but I'm told it's already full. But that's okay, because the slide after this busy slide is going to talk to you about some of the things that you would see in that lab. Again, this is because I'm sending it out. You can look through all of the different customer-led sessions, which are really all about employee experience. And a few of these, as I highlighted on the previous slide, are going to be really interesting to the people who are on this special interest group specifically. Now, if you can't go to Knowledge, or if you are going to Knowledge, but you want to continue to hone your craft, these QR codes will help you to sign up for specific events that are being led mainly through the community. So we're going to talk, the product team is going to talk about using different features within Employee Center and Employee Center Professional, including some of those integrations to Office 365. I saw a question in chat about Teams, which I answered. We have a lot of integrations into Teams. Then they're going to have another one here in June with specific information about how to migrate from legacy/SP or service portal to Employee Center Professional, talking about taxonomy, how to do your testing and configuration on Employee Center. Then we're going to have one that's specifically around employee communications. So that's content publishing, the rich content builder, content analytics, which we talked about in the chat today, and campaigns as well. And then finally, there are going to be some roadmap sessions, and you might want to sign up for these as well. So you'll get some more specific update details that our product management team will be offering in June. So this one here is coming up in 2 days, just to point that out. We don't have much time. The others will all be in June, so you have a little bit of time to sign up for those. Okay. With that, I am going to go ahead and ask if anyone else wants to come off of mute to verbalize a question for either Chris or Ashley or Ryan or Andrea. And if not, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Do you have any Center of Excellence examples of good type of data? Gail, I'm not sure if I completely understand the question. You're welcome to come off. You're welcome to raise your hand or ask to come off mute if you'd like to verbalize that. Here we go. Okay, Gail, you should be able to speak.
Yeah, thank you. So, Eric, yeah, one of the things that we are working with ServiceNow right at this moment is the finalization of kind of our COE site, COEI site. Basically, what is our capabilities that we are trying to provide our customers? What are the functions? Who can you contact? That type of information. And so we were hoping that we could get some examples of some different sites that people have already stood up that kind of explains for their end customers some of that capability. We have been working with ServiceNow, but it's always, this one's, I guess, a little bit harder to get some of that information on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Gail, are you referring to Centers of Excellence from sort of an enterprise perspective or
Correct.
specifically? Okay.
Yeah.
So what I understand, and I put something in the chat, which would be a set of customer examples, I think about 8 of them that have been
I think it's
anonymized. So that's a good way. But what I think you're probably talking about even more is the taxonomy and how the different services are presented to your employees or customers. Is that right?
That definitely is an area of interest. We have all sorts of, we're trying to do multiple things in our portal. We're trying to, from that perspective, we're trying to modernize. So I think your examples are great. I'm going to be sharing that with the team, and so that they can think about, are there areas that we have not evaluated as capability to employ? But also the COEI is basically kind of that communication mechanism across our company to be able to say, what can we do for you and how can we do that? Because a lot of people misunderstand ServiceNow. Some think that, okay, it's just workflow. Some think it's just IT service management. It's really providing a place for our internal users to get some visibility into our capabilities.
Right. Okay. So would you also categorize this as sort of what organizational change management ideas are there to help promote how ServiceNow can be used to your employees or customers?
That definitely could be a component of it. And Eric, I just actually let my manager know about maybe having a private discussion with you.
Okay.
And so we'll probably reach out to see if that could be done. So maybe just food for thought, but if you had some, hey, here's the experience that we've seen that have really been good examples of a COEI site that, that helps the organization, that would be great. But if not, maybe it's a conversation that hopefully we can have at Knowledge.
Yes, we can absolutely talk about that. I will say that the out-of-the-box taxonomy is already set up to be a very good example of the way that we see customers presenting the different services and capabilities that they have to their employees. And so, of course, you can make adjustments to it, you can augment it, but that taxonomy has been well thought out, and a lot of customers do leverage that as their starting point. I will also say that the general trend over years, and I often present this as well, is just this unification of experiences. It used to be that one department would come to us, such as HR, and they'd say, we have all these HR systems, all these HR tools, all these HR teams, and we want to create a one-stop shop for all of our employees' HR needs. And so they would do that, and there'd be this HR portal on ServiceNow that would fill that function. Then around 2015, 2016, 17, customers would say, we have all these service portals. We have one for IT, one for HR, one for facilities, one for finance, et cetera. It's confusing. Employees don't know which one to go to. So we would create a unified service experience. And they would do that on ServiceNow as well. And then around 2018, customers started saying, that's great that you can do that, but our people are looking for information that lives outside of ServiceNow. They're looking for news. They're looking for particular systems at some moment in time within their job that they need to be productive. And so you kind of dropped the unified service experience. You dropped the word service out of there and just create a unified service. And that's where, Chris was talking about the front door. I've heard it referred to as digital front door, the one-stop shop, the one-start shop. There's a lot of ways to refer to it, but it's one specific entry point where employees can find targeted news and information. They can get services from any department. They can find other people. They can find answers, even if it lives outside of ServiceNow. And they can find the right application that they're searching for. And it eliminates a lot of confusion. And there's a huge boost to employee productivity as a result of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Everyone, I will send out my slides. You'll have access to the QR codes and everything else. Thank you again. Thanks to all our guests. You did a great job. And I hope everyone has a beautiful rest of your day.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.